Okay, so it is 1 o'clock on August 20th, 2024, and I'm just going through a possible play that's setting up here on the SPY. I've tried shorting this a couple times and failed. Made money, I think once, and eventually this thing's going to pull back. How far, I don't know, but just like in any direction change, you need VPs to start breaking down, and that's going to start curving over the moving averages, and that's going to create your muffin top. And so, what this would do is, as we break this VP level, let me show. It's a little bit easier to see if I full screen it. So you can see the big VP here, right? This VP. We need everybody to crack. So what I'm looking for here is, maybe something like this that comes in, bounces here, comes up, does a quick retest, rolls over, right? Does this, and then we'll figure out at that point what we want to do. And the ultimate goal for me would be to bring this down here to the 555 area. Now, the stop out for me is depending upon when you enter. If you are entering on a breakdown and or a retest, you could keep your stops a little bit tighter. If you're entering on like on the top of this descending triangle, like if you're thinking this is gonna reject these levels, like if you entered here, you're gonna enter here. Well, then for me, it would be a break of that descending triangle. So a question that somebody just asked is, hey, does that not appear as a woodpecker? Well, to me it does not, because we are in a descending triangle. So for example, if this would have come down to here and bounced, and then this holds this level right here, right, then maybe you could argue if we come back up to this, if we bounce back up to this level, yeah, there's your woodpecker, right? So that it hasn't taken shape as a woodpecker yet. Will it? Maybe. To me, I don't think it will. I think it's going to roll over and break. But that's simply because, right, it looks like we're coming down here and we're going to try to break it. Right, like 1, 2, 3. Technically, you broke it here and held, so you could say 1, 2. Maybe it bounces up here again and does a third one. So this is actually the inverse of a woodpecker. It's, instead of an ascending triangle, it's a descending triangle, right? Nate, are you long or short the cues? I don't know if you can hear me. Let me look. Huntington Park, California. Oh, you're short. Okay, yeah, beautiful. I love it. So there it is, right? So there, this is the reason I wanted to jump on now, is because it was happening now, right? I didn't want to wait till 1 o'clock. So there it is, right? So understanding, hey, what should happen? Why was I thinking we should break down here? Okay, now it's happened, right? It's happened, right? So what did I tell you the next level? Well, first off, this little bit, you're going to get this little kickback from this little chunk right here. More than likely does something like this, right? But eventually it will come to here. Um, Nice job, Nate. Oh, thanks. Sorry, full screen. Whoop. So, so it's going to bounce off this little area here, right? Which we're doing right now, literally. Right? There's your 1 minute chart. Boom, boom. This is expected. You're going to get a retest. So, what's going to happen is Nate's option is going to go from 55% winner to back to a 25 to 30% winner. Well, Nate just took off some for 55%. Well, shoot, the trade's working. Maybe I want to add this back. So I can come in here and say, all right, I just scalped out a piece. I'm going to add it back if I can get it back up near this price, near this 558. Right? That's your retest. And then technically, it should roll. And it should start coming down like this. What if it doesn't? What if he's like, oh, I'm going to add back what I sold, and then it comes back up to here? Well, then at that point, it's starting to set up a possible failed breakdown, and you would look for a hold of this original level. And if it holds and starts to break out, well, dang, stop out of my short. I'm going to get long. And this is what you do when you're just following price action instead of saying, hey, this is my thesis. Let's just force it down everybody's throat. Does that make sense, guys? And again, you can always, like, here, let me look at which one did he do? QQQ puts bought 3/8/21. That's tomorrow. So you bought the QQQ 8/21 480 puts. And you bought them for $1.87. Hard stop one. Okay. So those are trading right now. 480, 187. Make sure I'm on the right ones here. Those are trading for 284 by 285 right now, right? How can the theta and delta be the same on August 23rd? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. So how does price action relation to the bots buying and selling? You talk about like algos, like this right here. This would be an algo trade. This breakdown would be a pile on the shorts real quick and get a quick, like what Nate just said. Nate literally went, I think he said, from 25% to 55%. So he got 30% like that. That's what they're doing. Boom, boom, boom. Does that make sense? And so anytime that you do quote unquote normal things within a technical pattern, you're going to have algos triggering it. New highs, new lows, certain levels broken, right? And also you have people that are distributing that will purposefully cause it to break a level so that they can acquire and bring it back up and squeeze. So, it just depends upon which algorithm is set up and how they've trained it and if they've turned it on. That's it. All right, so let's see. So I'm going to put in an order on Nate's put. Like, I'm not in this one, right? I'm short the SPY right now, but I'm not in Nate's play. So what I'm thinking is if I can get a pullback on this, like a pullback was really upside. So if I can get a retest up higher into this level, I'd be willing to hit it at that point. So to me, that's about buying it at about 220 to 230. And I'm using the SPY chart. So I should be using the QQQ chart, but it's the same idea. So here, it'll come up to here. It'll reject this line, and then we'll get a double bottom, boom, boom, trip bottom break as it goes lower. And you're still breaking these people if you're going to get this continuation. because the next level here on just the Qs, just like we were doing, is 474.97. So 475 down to 474.19. So it's the same thing. All right, so here we're getting a little push, getting our retest. Yes, exactly. Support level becomes resistance. That's exactly right, right? So, and why is that? Well, anybody, what would you be doing, David, if let's say you bought the SPY right here? Say you bought 1,000 shares of the SPY right here, and it went from 558.50 down to 570, 557.25, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm down $1,200. What are you going to be doing as it starts coming back up into this range? Yeah, exactly. You're gonna be like, please bounce, right? Maybe you're like, all right, let me add one more time, and we can get out about here. All right, now we're coming to an area that should start providing some resistance up in here. So if we break out, right, like if we break out, then that's I'm done. Like I'm not going to play it anymore. Are we there yet on the QQQs? Almost. So we're almost to the spot on the QQQs. So I'm gonna raise my bid a little bit on the QQQs here. See if I can get filled closer to 240 instead of the 230 level. I may just market order in this to see if we can get this rollover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to this position. So I market ordered in, right? I'm going to add to this position if it comes back up here. And let's see. So again, what did I do? I saw Nate making money, and I'm like, oh man, I want to make money too. Why am I not in this trade? Shoot, it's going down. I need to make money, right? But I didn't go in there and say, hey, let me pile in while Nate's covering his position, right? I'm like, all right, let's wait for the proper setup, the proper risk control, and if it comes, great. If it doesn't, I'll just catch the next one. Absolutely, Rich. Absolutely. It could just be a liquidity chase, right? They want to take out all the stops before they rip it back up. So how do we protect ourselves from that? Well, in my mind, the way that you do it is you find the levels that are going to keep you down the most. So what I'm thinking is these these levels here. I'm going to change the color of this line. I personally think these levels, this little zone here, point of control, value high, value low. I think these levels are going to keep you down, right? I may be wrong. Heck, it could shoot up to 560, 562. I don't know. But what I'm telling myself, my brain, to make myself feel comfortable is, look, I'm willing to short in these purple lines. We get above this level, right? I'm out. And I'm probably going to flip long because we're going to shoot up, do a retest, and go up. Well, if I flip long and it does a retest, tries going, and then rolls back over, well, now you're putting in basically a broadening type formation where you're putting in higher highs and higher lows, and I don't want to be a part of that. I'd be like, all right, I'm not going to play this game anymore. I'm taking my ball and going home. Does that make sense? And again, you never know exactly what's going to happen. The only thing you can know is what happens on normal price action. And the other thing that you'd want to do here is look at the range, right? So where are we on the range? So the QQQ, wow, 1150. Okay. So the range we've had today is a high, basically 483 and 478. You know, you still got a lot of range. Man, it seems like a high ATR. Yeah, I was thinking more around $9-10, but I guess that moves a little bit more. All right, so right, does everybody understand why we're rejecting here? Why I waited to this level? Why I didn't chase? And what should start happening? Like, this is what you're always doing, no matter what time frame you're playing. I'm just showing you on a 1 minute chart, so we don't have to sit here for 7 days and talk about a hourly chart, right? All right, we did our retest. We're starting to reject within that level. If you are a bull, you're like, all right, shoot, we broke back into that level, right? We broke back above these guys. We're still back into that range. Come on, let's just hold here. If we can hold here, well, it's possible that we could do that, right? Oh man, that if we can do that, then a pullback like that would be not so bad. Okay, let's just hold it, right? Let's just hold it. And so, as a bear, what you want to see happen is worst case scenario, as a bear, right, is some type of failed breakout at one of these highs, be it here or here. Hope that makes sense. Excuse me, man. Let's see. Head and shoulders on the daily on the QQQ. Let's see. Possibly. Yeah. 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 I mean, for us to create a head and shoulders and this be the head, what do you need? Right? Like, where's your other shoulder? Is it here? Well, to create another shoulder, we got to get a drop into this level and then a bounce into this level. And then you've got your head, shoulder, shoulder. And again, the thing is I never know if it's going to come to the value area low. I never know if it's going to come to the point of control. I never know if it's going to go to the value area high. But what I do know is that if we do break the value area high, anybody that bought within this area is now happy, right? They've either stopped out, break even, or they're in the money now, right? They're green on their trade. This is always so fun to watch unfold. Nola Ryan, I think so too, but I'm kind of a dork. Like, what's interesting to me is all this price action is like literal people and their emotions, right? That's what's so fascinating to me. So you've got like these two teams playing against each other and feeling all these emotions and things, and who's going to win, and who's going to lose. Yeah, it's just fun to me. One thing that I just tweeted out was, have you guys seen the DXY today? So, again, what should happen from a technical analysis perspective? If you're breaking down this trend line, right, then ultimately your next level is going to be that low and then that low. Now, that's not using VP or anything, that's just technical analysis. So we get a pull down to that level, maybe a retest here, and then a rollover to do the double bottom, and then hopefully come down and break. And then China can do a bazooka stimulus and Baba goes to 1,000, right? Hopefully. All right, so what are some things that should be going through our head as we're starting to see this pop come back up into this resistance? So if this is going to be a liquidity chase and they're going to just wash everybody out and push, right? Well, you need to make sure everybody is stopped out, and or you're not going to have a lot of sellers as you're pushing. So is there any pattern or anything that could be put in here that would be, like this, the ascending triangle type flag on a downtrend, right? Whatever you want to call this, bear flag or whatever. So let's see if it was me and I wanted to reverse this, I would actually wash the lows here quickly and then start ripping it back up. And if you really wanted to screw with people, this is what I would do. This, and then this. But what would that do for me? Would that screw with me at all? Is my display not as clear as it normally is, guys? I don't know. You're the first to say it. Looks fine. Let me look at it. Let's see. I think it looks okay on my screen. Yeah, maybe refresh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it would be. Maybe there's some, what is that called, latency issues or something. Let me guess. You've got an Intel graphics card on your computer instead of an AMD one. Is that what it is? Is that the problem? Yeah, exactly, Duke. It wouldn't be a problem for me. I don't care. Screw around with all these 1, 10, 15 second traders all you want. I don't care. I know that I'm good until we break above all these people, right? Let's see. Looks like a possible inverted head and shoulders on the Q's daily could be put in with a pullback. Well, let's check it out on the Q's daily. Absolutely, 100%. Right. I'd 100% be a buyer. We get a pull down to this level, right? Gap fill area here, and even if it puts in a little bit higher of a right shoulder, right? Yeah, 100%. That's what V bottoms create. V bottoms create inverted head and shoulders. Double bottoms create W's, right? So anytime you don't get the V, it's going to be an inverted head and shoulders at some point. Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good point. So at the bottom, you can kind of adjust 1080p, 720, 480, 360, or 160. No, Avatar, an inverted head and shoulders is a bullish position. So, for example, what I was looking at there, what that person was saying is, you've got this here, and so a pullback could put in an inverted shoulder. I mean, inverted head and shoulders with a neckline like this. And if we start breaking up, that's extremely bullish, right? But what also could be setting up is, we do this, and then we come up to this area, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do that, and well, what do we have then? Well, we've got a head and shoulders going against an inverted head and shoulders, which is going against another head and shoulders, where a shoulder, head, shoulder, right? Yeah, so head and shoulders is bearish, and a inverted head and shoulder is bullish. Hi, D-Man. What's the best way to get the live updated info about your weekly, monthly plan? So, Joseph, on every Monday, I do a PowerPoint presentation, and I go through all the data that came out the last week, and I'm like, all right, here's what I think's happening now, and this changes this, or this doesn't change anything, or whatever. So every Monday is the best way to keep up with that. Just watch that video and get that PowerPoint and read through it. That's the best thing for the longer term plan, right? Like at the beginning of the year, I gave you that plan that said, hey, it's a continuation of the bull market. We're going up. It's going to be a great year. Let's go. And every week, I'm re-verifying that that's still in place. And if there's any data that changes, I'll throw it in there. And I do that every Monday in here between 9. Sometimes I'll start a little bit earlier if it's long, 8:45, 9 o'clock to 9:30 before the market opens. So every Monday I do that in here. Um, and that's the best way to keep up with it. And then after that, like I'll come on Tuesdays and trade with you guys while Nate's doing his stuff, and refer back to that weekly plan. Like I'm still loving this VST chart, which was on that PowerPoint. Um, and it goes through like, hey, you don't see, like, I don't know if you guys were here for the last one, but the last one was very little data. There wasn't a lot. that I was looking at, but the important one to me was the shipping, right? It's the I think the first spot we're going to see cracks in the foundation of the economy and the possible bull run will be on shipping. You're going to have shipping uh, doldrums where you can't find work. It's there's not a lot going on, and that's just not happening yet. It's busy as can be. Yeah, and yeah, yeah. These recordings and stuff I'll throw on YouTube, right? If Nvidia gets back to 128 on the 5 minute, it will complete a W pattern. All right, let's check that out while we wait here. 128. Yeah. So if you look at this, right, he's saying boom, boom, maybe this boom, and then boom. But within this little pattern here, I see a bunch of stuff. Right, there's an inverted head and shoulder right here. Boom, boom, boom. So you got shoulder, shoulder, head. You've got a double bottom here, and then you've got another inverted head and shoulders here. Right, boom, boom, boom. New low. Boom, came back up. Retest. Starts to crack here. Well, you've got an inverted head and shoulder on the 5 minute that's going to push you to the open print price right here, which would be the neckline of this big W. This is why I always tell you guys you've got zones within zones. It depends on how tight you want to go or how far out you want to go. And so then if it breaks over this neckline here, which is it's the same as open print price, what should happen next? Well, you should push up into these people and ultimately come back to open print price. Your target should be 130 at that point. Yeah, Joseph. Monday mornings, I go over my weekly presentation. Yeah, I can comment on EA and IRM. EA. Um, so I'm not sure how short dated options or anything that you have or whatever, but as far as a chart is concerned, this is perfect. There's nothing wrong with this. Like literally what you're trying to do is you're trying to fire out here on the 195, right? So you're trying to fire out. So you guys tell me, after you break out of these highs, where should you go to? So you created this base here. After you break out of this highs, where should you go to and start to consolidate? Well, you should go to the next zone. It's right there. Right? There's your next zone. You've hit it, you've hit the top side, and now you're trying to hold that bottom side. So I think a pullback into these range would be a buy. So like I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, shoot, maybe I would want to buy this as it comes back into this ADMA area. Um, so it looks fine, and the only time that this would not look fine to me is if this breakout becomes failed and you start getting back underneath these people here. Well, what will most likely happen at that point is you'll hit somewhere back down here, you'll bounce like right here, you'll start to roll over, and you'll put in some type of bearish descending triangle type pattern, and it's ultimately a head, shoulder, shoulder, neckline, look out below, right? But as long as these people are here and you're holding, you're good. As far as a chart. Now, time perspective changes everything. When you're trading options, it's like, well, if it just chops around in this range for the next week, I'm going to lose money. Yeah, 100%. That's why you should have time stops, or at least time stops that say, you know what, I'm gonna give up on this shorter term one, and I'm gonna try to buy a longer term one. And what was the other one? IRM. Yeah, this one's really nice. Wow. So you've technically made a new high, right? So this high is 109.73, this high is 109.73, and now you broke it. So what you want to see happen is as you break here, right? you want to see some volume come in and try to push this up and away. If that does not happen, you're setting up for a possible failed breakout. Well, if you're playing, I don't know what time frame you're playing, but you can risk control on this really easy, right? So you've got, I mean, if you want to play the 130, look how tight these things are. Boom, right there's your lower Bollinger Band, upper Bollinger Band. But anyway, this one looks fine. Like, it looks good. Yeah, it's fine. They're all fine. Yeah, of course, DWB. You always want to have something in there at DWB where it's like, all right, if we start getting underneath these people, it could be a problem. And that's when you want to start being concerned. All right, so let's flip back over and see what the SPY's at. Okay, guys, so this is exactly what we drew, right? So it's like, oh, okay, well, shoot, we just cracked highs again here, higher comparative to that one, right? So we did put in higher highs. So what I'm looking for here is any type of failed breakout into this purple lines area to see if we want to continue our path lower. And now it's gotten to the point where things are so tight, there's just not a lot of risk, right? Where we've tightened up, we're going to make a decision in the next, if I had to guess, what time is it? 33, next 7 minutes. Maybe sooner, but I think within the next 7 minutes you're going to have a decision. Fed is leaking this, so no surprises on Friday. Powell's Jackson Hole's speech to support sequence of 25 basis point cuts. Oh, interesting. Okay. So the Fed's saying, hey, just FYI, guys, Wait, didn't the minutes come out today? Or is that tomorrow? Yeah, the minutes come out tomorrow. So, yeah, so we'll see what's being spoken on the minutes, and then they're saying, this, to let everybody know. So maybe they're saying that to let them know we're not going to talk about 50 basis points. Is that what you think, Matt? Like, I don't know. Like, I think there was kind of a toss-up between a 50 and a 25 basis point cut. I don't know what the odds were, but let's see. Yeah, DWB, exactly. And you do need to understand how to read it. And this is why I tell you guys to play a 1 minute chart. Even if you just do it for a week or two, play 1 minute charts and you can learn how things are supposed to happen. But within a 1 minute chart, there's a lot more failed breakdowns, failed breakouts. There's a lot more false signals. And that's because you're playing a 1 minute chart. It's easier to, stop a 100-pound man going 10 miles an hour than it is to stop a 500-pound man going 10 miles an hour, right? Like, you just don't have the momentum, the volume behind these things. So you're going to get a lot of false signals. But it helps you understand price action. Yeah, traders coming back after lunch. Let's see. Fed Chair Powell will express a bit more confidence in the inflation outlook in his Jackson Hole speech, while putting a bit more emphasis on downside risks in the labor market. Matt, honestly, what I want to see him do, and I hope he does it, is I want him to say, We've seen the data that we've wanted to see. We don't need to see any more data. We're going to be forward looking here. All right, so we're getting our move, right? Does everybody understand what is happening? So again, let's go back. What do you call this right here? What is this called? These candles, these two candles, what did they do? Oh yeah, here, I'll scoot my mic closer. Maybe that'll help. Here. Does that help a little bit? So that green arrow, what is that? Yeah, ID Hawkman got it. It's a failed breakout. I want to look for a failed breakout in this. Well, what does a failed breakout do? You guys, what does a failed breakout do? What are these people doing when they do a failed breakout? They're sucking in the liquidity of people buying new highs, right? And then they're dumping on them and they're bringing it down. So remember I said if you really want to screw with people, what would you do? Well, you'd break new highs, you'd break new lows. You know what I mean? Like it's like that's how you screw with people. It's like let's make a new high, let's make a new low, let's bring it back up. You're just like, oh okay, yeah, I don't want to play that. It's not clean. They're just chopping around. But now what we have to say is exact same thing on the flip side, right? We just put in a new low in comparison to these two, right? We're cracking down this. Now is this going to be a retest and roll over? I'm trying to get that arrow. There we go. Right? So now we're doing the retest. Are we just going to do a retest and roll? Or are they going to rip it back into this group of people and they did a liquidity chase to the downside and go up? I have no idea. I don't know. But this is how you should be thinking and talking as you're trading these because it helps you understand price action. Yeah, I wouldn't call this a bull flag. I would call it a bear flag, right? It's coming down into this area. So to me, this is a bear flag. That's why I'm short. If it was a bull flag, I'd get long. So like here, let's just role play and say, let's say we come back up here into 560, 559 area, whatever. Well, at that point, I bet if we were to look at the 30-minute chart, what would that look like? Well, then you'd have a candle that looks like this. Well, let me erase that and let me put these in. So maybe you get a candle like this, then you get a candle like this, right? You get back up to that 560 area. Shoot. Well, then all of a sudden, if you're looking at this 30-minute chart, it's starting to look really nice on the bull flag, right? It's like, yeah, that was a bear flag there, but it shot up. And so now that it's up here, and we've created this rounding bottom and price action has done this, well now it's like, oh, here we go. Well, what would that be? Well, at that point you're talking about possible, right? And so there's always going to be price movement within zones that are going to be determining in which direction you're going to go and fire out of on the auction theory side. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Or are you going to find enough bidders? Like there's literally trillions of variables in the market, and if you expect to be Nostradamus and know what's going to happen, then you're never going to make money. You can only play probabilities and risk control. That's it. You play probabilities and risk control. Okay. The 30 minutes inside. Let's check it out. Yeah, maybe we consolidate here for 30 minutes, right? And then pick a direction. And this is what makes trading hard sometimes, guys, is you often have to just sit there and do nothing. And you know, as traders, we want to press the button. And I think it's Warren Buffett that said, you know, the money's made in waiting. It's not pressing the buttons. When is a reversal not a failed breakout or breakdown? That's a great question. So it would be when you make the people happy that are above you. So for example, this one here, like, is this going to be a failed breakdown? Well, for that to happen, you literally have to make all these people happy. Well, how would you know when all these people are happy? When price gets above this level. Everybody's going to be happy, right? So at that point, it's a failed breakdown, and it's like, all right, let's get bullish. And flip to the other side. And that's why I have the rule, you know, I have that rule if I trade 3 times on something within a day, if I trade AMD 3 times within the day and I lose on it 3 times, I have to stop. Because sometimes you do get days where you get this consolidation period and it's like boom, you know, boom, 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 and then it finally goes boom, and you break out and it's like, oh, here we go, we're gonna go, yeah, and then they're like, just kidding, and then it comes down here and it's like, oh, and then it goes boom, and it's like, oh, just kidding, and it comes back up, and then it does this, oh, just kidding, and then it does this. Well, what are you creating at that point? This is called a broadening formation. You're literally creating like a megaphone, right? So I don't play these. If you wanted to play these, you'd have to recognize it as that, and you'd play off these levels. You'd play off the megaphone levels. But for me, I don't play broadening formations like this. All right, so Nate says on watch, LUMN 823 550 calls. So these are the ones, right? 823, 550. So it's 60 by 61 now. So for all you guys that are like, well, I can't get it at your price, now's the time to buy it if you're interested in buying it. Because I want to show you what's going to happen is if Nate buys it. The market does have a sixth sense of humor. Yep, just kidding, just kidding. What you thought was going to happen isn't happening. Okay, there's the call out, right? So literally, when he was putting that in there, this was barely moving. You see over here on the right side of my screen? So now somebody just bought 222 of them. Somebody just bought 10. Somebody just bought 5. Somebody just bought 10. Somebody just bought 50, 30, 20, 15, 10, 10, 10. Right? 222 again, right? So somebody's got that 222 and they're just spamming buy. Up, up, 10 more, some more. So you see how much busier it got after Nate said, hey, it's time to buy? Well, what makes it hard for Nate is that he understands this happens. So if he picks an option that has like a 60 by 65 inch spread and people just start market ordering in, they're just going to get hammered because they're just going to widen this spread out and then they'll bring it back down. So literally, we've gone up 5 cents since Nate said buy it. Or, I'm sorry, since Nate said on watch. Right? And so again, for everybody that says, hey, I can't get your price, you don't have to wait for Nate. Many times you can get a better price than Nate gets because people start buying it and it starts going up. Nate has to pay a higher rate. He's nicer than I am. I don't know if I'd do that. Ugh. Matt Cam says, I feel like the market is trapping shorts today. Absolutely could be. One that I want to get into is the IWM for the long side. Where would that level be? You could make an argument for right here, right now. So you've pulled back into this 2-day flag pattern up here. I would prefer to pick it up down here. I don't know if I'll get that opportunity. You know, $5-6 lower. Fill that gap. Because ultimately, I think, you know, maybe this is what they're trying to avoid with them leaking what's going on, but you could get a pop in the IWM depending upon Powell's speech. IWM. You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to buy the 214s for the end of the week. Nate just bought EA calls. So whoever just asked me about EA, right, there's your answer, right? As it's pulling back, right, all you're doing is retesting that breakout. It still looks great. There's just such a big gap between the two levels that I want to get in at. So, I was talking earlier this morning, can you add and all that kind of stuff. There's just too much room here for me to add. So if I do play one here, then I'd have to stop out of it and reattack it. when it got to the gap level that I'd like to get it to. So I think I'm going to try 214. I'll try that out. Start putting in some orders on this. See if I can get filled. Oh yeah, Toll Brothers is after the market today, right? So if anybody's in these names, you could get a big move one direction or the other. Okay, SPY. Let's go back to SPY. Where are we here? All right, so what's happening here, right, is you are starting to break this down trend line. So as a technical analysis person, you're like, hey, here we go. We could get this reversal, failed breakout. Failed breakdown right here. Looking good. And so what's happening now in the auction theory process, if you've got this box here with inventory, right? You've got these people that have inventory. These people are happy and these people are sad. And so as price dips, people are like, oh, okay, it's coming into this good level, good support level here, let's buy it. As price rises, you're coming to this level and they're like, hey, let's get rid of my inventory because now I'm at break even. I'm not losing much money. And for this to really turn around and be a bullish thing, for me, you got to make all of these people happy, which means you got to get above these levels. Until that happens, I'm not sold that it's a turnaround. Excuse me. So if you think the market is trapping shorts, what you'd want to do is any type of pullback on a good chart that you like, you'd want to buy it. Like, I don't know, are you guys still in I don't know if anybody's still in MMM or not. You know, if this one's pulling back, I know this is a nice chart. There's a few nice charts that you can set up pullback buys on. For example, I like this Google. I like this Google kind of flag out here, 5-minute squeeze. You still got room to the upside. You got about $2-3 that you could capture. So if you think the market is trapping shorts and we're gonna turn it into a late day rally, then for me, I think Google would be a great long. I like Microsoft and it keeps going. Is Microsoft strong today? Oh yeah, super strong today. Yeah, this looks great. So it just broke highs. Okay, guys, I just got a phone call, so I've got to call them back. Um, I'll try to jump back on before Nate gets back on and kind of update this minute by minute thing that we're doing. Any questions before I jump off? Cal, yeah, I recorded this one, so I'll stop recording right now.